Well, today we're breaking down Mississippi State versus Ole Miss. What went wrong, what went right, and the surprising silver lining hiding inside the loss.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Jaron Spor. Welcome to Locked On Mississippi State, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Like I said, I'm Jaron Spor, I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We've got a recap show for you today, the final one of the football season, as the season came to an end on Friday. We'll recap the offense, the defense, and then we will give our player of the game and the top dog of the week. But first, let's start with the offense. Landon, the surprise, I guess, was Kamario Taylor ended up getting the start in the game. Blake Shapen did not start, didn't even play. Apparently, according to Jeff Lebby, he did not take the news well that he was no longer the starter. He didn't even participate in senior day despite not having any eligibility remaining.
That's a weird thing for him because, we'll get to Kamario in a second, but that's a really weird thing for Shapen. I mean, you heard about how he was a good leader and all this, and that seems to be kind of the opposite of what you would expect from someone who actually cared about his team. But no, Kamario getting a start was shocking. I mean, if it was going to happen, I figured it would have happened, sometime in the last 2 weeks, not the final week of the season. But he looked good. I mean, there were some throws that obviously got away from him, few overthrows, which were the problems we saw kind of in those spot places, those spot times he would play throughout the year, just a few overthrows, few inconsistencies. But his ability on the ground to run is game-changing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was very evident because that was the best the run game really looked all season.
Yeah.
I mean, they ended up rushing for 262 yards on 6.1 yards per carry, had the 2 touchdowns. Kamario on his own ran for 20 carries, 173 yards, and 2 scores. Fluff had 17 carries for 80 yards, 4.7 yards per carry. He did have a 43-yarder in there. But as a passer, I thought, Kamario did some good things. Obviously, missed some stuff, which is very typical for a true freshman. Threw for only 178 yards, completed less than 50% of his passes, had the 1 pick that was off a deflection after a big gain. Overall, his QBR was 84, and part of that was the running. And that's probably the best the offensive line has looked because, and I know they still gave up 3 sacks in the game and 5 TFLs. So I'm not saying like they played great. I'm just saying because of his running ability, it wasn't as evident how bad they played in the game like it is when Shapen's out there.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as Shapen goes, like, I get the competitor in you is frustrated that you're not going to start.
Yeah.
Like, that makes sense. I understand it's your last game. If you win, obviously you get a bowl game. And so you've started the first 11. You want to kind of finish it out as the starter. And I understand from a competitive nature, you're going to be upset that you're not the starter. But like you said, we kept hearing how much of a leader he is. And for him to kind of basically, it seems like pout about it because he didn't participate in senior day. And I'm curious to hear if that was like a Lebby decision. Like, hey, I understand all the vitriol around you right now. Maybe if you don't want to participate, like, don't kind of thing. And that's possible. But if it was his decision, that's kind of weird. I would hope that Mississippi State fans would respect it enough where they wouldn't like boo him on his senior day when he gets announced. But yeah, I mean, and you didn't really see many videos of him on the sidelines, like helping out Kamario or anything. It just seemed like he was done, pouting and checked out.
Yeah, and for someone, and I mean, I don't think he has any future for playing on Sunday. I think there's a chance maybe he got on a practice squad, but if this is your last impression, is you doing this, no one's even going to give you that opportunity. So he must be just ready to move on from football completely. But yeah, the offensive line looked better, and I don't put that interception on Kamario. That got batted like that. That's not, I mean, sure, he probably could have made a better throw or something, but like it wasn't, not like that interception was solely his fault. He didn't just throw it to a defender or something, but it was this game, I mean, the offense, it had its moments where it looked so good, and then it just stalled so much.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what that is. I did like that they got Traore involved. That
Hmm.
was great. Like, I don't know why that wasn't something they were trying to do previously, because you saw on display his athleticism. Like, he is a very athletic tight end that can beat some of these guys if they're not matched. He can beat guys one on one, and he did it multiple times in this game. And Taylor found him. I mean, I don't really know why that wasn't something they tried to work in more throughout the year, but he looked really good.
Yeah, and looking at the numbers, they only had 1 3 and out the whole game. That's really good. And that happened in the second quarter. Now they did have a 3-play drive that ended. It was the interception
Yeah.
drive, but that wasn't a 3 and out. They gained 41 yards. They had the big play
Mhm.
right before the pick. And that's something that we've seen has been a has been a big issue for them lately, is the 3 and out, the quick drives like that. And they didn't have one, or they had one, and they didn't have any in the second half. But it kind of felt, Ole Miss came out firing on all cylinders.
Mhm.
Scored touchdown their first 2 drives, both 75 yards. One was an 8-play, one was a 5-play. And, it kind of looked like, okay, well, bad defense is back. But then they
Yeah.
settled in that second quarter.
Mhm.
They missed field goal, then punt, punt, punt. But then the touchdown drive happened right before half, and I felt like
Yeah.
that kind of took the wind out of the sails. And I critiqued Lebby for that, because so they have the long run by Fluff, 43-yard run to get a first down. And instead of just sitting on it and taking it to the 2-minute warning, they go hurry up. Fluff gets tackled for no gain, and they let it go to the 2-minute warning. So Mississippi didn't have to burn any timeouts, and then they come out incomplete, deep right to Anthony Evans. Didn't mind that call, taking
Mhm.
a shot to the end
Right.
zone kind of thing. But again, you're not making them burn timeouts, and then they throw another one incomplete to Anthony Evans, which was just a timing issue.
Mhm.
Anthony was right. Kamario was wrong on that one. Anthony ran to the sticks, turned around for the curl, and Kamario threw it maybe 2 or 3 yards before he got to the sticks, and so it ended up skipping to him. But because of all that, you kick the field goal with 1:45 left in
Mhm.
the second quarter to go down 4, giving Ole Miss plenty of time to go down the field, which they do, and they go down and get the touchdown to make it 21-10. You're feeling a lot better if it's 14-10 at half. And again, they scored with like 12 seconds left before half. So
Yeah.
if you would have just made them waste a timeout or two, you might not even allowed the touchdown. You might have held them to a field goal, which 17 to
Mhm.
10 isn't bad at half either. And
Yeah.
so I put that on Lebby again. That's the game management aspect.
Yeah, and I understand the hurrying up to the line there, but I feel like you have to go up and tell him, if you get this one specific look, snap it. Otherwise, take it to the 2-minute warning. Because just hurrying up to call a run play like that, there's no way that works out really in your favor unless you just bust a big one. There's no real in for that that's good for the offense. And you mentioned 2 incompletions to Evans. I didn't realize that he didn't have a catch in this game until starting to, prepare for this podcast, because I mean, they targeted him a few
Yeah,
times. So
several times. Yeah.
I was just like, okay, yeah, he probably had a few catches. No catches, which
And
is,
he had a couple drops too.
yeah.
So yeah.
So it was just interesting that he came away with no catches in this game.
Yeah, it definitely was. And also when it came to that play to go into the hurry up, it's just you just had a massive gain. If you would have taken that to the 2-minute warning, now the crowd's going nuts, the whole 2-minute timeout, you get all this energy, you then come out and all that, maybe you can build off that momentum. Whereas instead you snap it and you get no gain, and now you've kind of died the fans down a little bit, and
Yeah.
so there's that momentum too. I do also want to say earlier I said, the cameras didn't show Shapen out there being a leader. I don't want to act like he wasn't, because cameras aren't on him 24/7. It's very possible he
Right.
was helping Kamario and doing all that stuff. I'm just saying, from the TV cameras, they didn't show that a lot. And again, I don't want to say he didn't do it, because maybe he
Yeah.
did and it wasn't shown on camera. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, the offense was kind of up and down. You saw the specialness of Kamario Taylor. I texted Landon that Mississippi State's going to have to fight to keep him, because I think there's going to be some people trying to poach him for sure. There's definitely going to be some tampering that goes on to get him to leave. Starkville. Will he? I don't know. I don't have that inside information. Now, based off some of his tweets, he was tweeting at recruits, tweeting at people to come to Mississippi State, stuff like that. That would tell me he's probably not leaving.
Right.
But if he did leave, you could probably put that game as the reason why he ended up leaving. But all right, we got to talk about the defense. We'll do that coming up next. Well, the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. Well, let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You pull up the app and the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. The seat view feature is a game changer. You'll literally see what the pitch looks like from your exact seat before you buy. That's my favorite feature. I've talked about it many times. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets in every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, so the defense was the big story. This was a unit that had shown so much progress this season. So much so that, just 3 weeks ago before the Georgia game, actually even early in the Georgia game, we were talking about how the team is as improved as it is because the defense has been the better unit than the offense. And that was kind of been the surprise. The defense has played better than the offense has. But the last 3 weeks were disaster. I mean, they were back to what they were last year. I understand people that are wanting Coleman Hutzler fired. Lebby even talked about they're going to have to evaluate everything, including Coleman Hutzler. It made a lot of sense because in this game, I was flabbergasted by the game plan. I seriously was, because there was several times they just rushed 2 players and still gave up a big pass play.
Yeah.
How do you drop 9 and still give up a massive pass play? The reason why you do that is because Trinidad Chambliss is a really good quarterback. He's accurate. He's very smart. And if you're going to give him all day to throw, eventually someone's going to come open. And that's what they constantly did.
I get trying that a couple times just because you haven't been able to get a pass rush all season. Outside of when they blitz, they're not getting a pass rush. So I get trying to throw that in as a wrinkle here and there, but it was used way too often to be, a real game plan. It should not have been used as often as it was. And like I said, they got no pressure, no sacks, no tackles for loss, nothing. I mean, they were dominated in the trenches. And
that's been the theme all year.
We knew it was going to be a struggle. We talked about how good Ole Miss's offensive line is versus Mississippi State's defensive line. You saw it. And that's where it's really showing up, is in the trenches. They're just not able to get enough pressure. And not even pressure, just push in general. Like, they are getting blown back and allowing the quarterback all day to throw, or the running back to run wild on you. I mean, there was just there's nothing from the front seven, really. I mean, Tillman had a couple nice plays, but overall, the front seven wasn't good enough.
Yeah, and one thing that I have noticed when you watch a lot of the SEC teams, and it's really evident with Mississippi State, they go with an odd front a lot. A lot of 3-down linemen sets. You just can't do it in the SEC. Not as your primary defense. Right. If you want to throw it in as a weird look here and there, Oklahoma's a team that's one of the best defensive teams, but they do that sometimes. They'll throw in the 3, although they've been playing a lot more 4 this year, mainly because they have some elite defensive tackles. But Mississippi State and other schools in the SEC, you don't see many of them run the 3 because you just can't against the SEC. The offensive lines are too talented and too good to let you get away with the 3-man front. And so the weird thing is Lebby came from Oklahoma, and so he should have known that doesn't really work that much. Granted, he left before they moved to the SEC. They were still in the Big 12. But Yeah, I mean, it's not something that you can do in the SEC. Again, if you want to throw it in as a wrinkle, a couple plays here and there, something like that, fine. But or you show 4 down linemen and you drop out of it, something like that, like okay. But as one of your primary defenses or something that you run a lot, you just can't do it. And so that's why if that's what Coleman wants to run, then you definitely have to make a move because you have to go find a guy that isn't going to do that. You got to find a guy that's going to run an even front, who's going to put you in the best position to win. And so, I think there's some coaches on this roster, even on the defense side, that probably still need to be there. But there's definitely an argument for a lot of them to be gone, and which is crazy to say because just a few weeks ago we were saying they were the best unit on the field for them.
Yeah, they fell apart, and some of it is coming from just wearing down toward the end of the year. We talked about how they don't have the depth or really the high-end talent outside of a couple players that are all in the secondary. So obviously you're going to start to wear down toward the end of the year. But yeah, the front seven let him down. And then you could tell that Chambliss was not really targeting whoever Kelly Jones was on. Brumfeld
I wonder if he was targeted once.
I
didn't see it often.
Yeah.
I didn't see it often if he was.
No, Brumfield got targeted a lot.
Brumfield got targeted a ton, and then when Javen Williams came in, he got targeted a ton.
And both those guys have played pretty well, but this game, they could not hold up against what was happening. And you saw, especially in the red zone, those catches that Stribling made were just mossed them pretty much. I mean, it was –
yeah.
So there's a lot of work to be done on this defense. There's a few players that you definitely have to try to keep around. I mean, Isaac Smith, obviously. Tillman, I think, can be someone you can build around the front. That line, though, I don't know what you do with that. I mean, you almost have to go into the portal and hope you come out with 4 starters.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's the crazy thing. You're going to have to do that. Honestly, on the defensive coaching staff, Matt Barnes, safeties coach, Corey Bell, the quarterback's coach. That's pretty much it that you want to bring back, I think, for that staff. Unless Coleman is going to change kind of his philosophy and go more even front. Because I really thought he did make some strides this season. And I think the numbers would show that. I mean, again, they were so bad last year. Like, people forget just how bad they were. But this year they took a pretty good jump until these last 3 games. So they were a lot of times they were in the 70, 80 range. They ended up finishing 103rd in defense. Like that's not good at all. But again,
I mean,
just a couple weeks ago they were 70. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy the fall that they had here at the end. And a big part of that is they don't have any depth at all. And Will Whitson, I believe, still led the team or was second in the team in TFLs.
Yeah, he was.
And he played 3 games. It was bad.
It was bad. And you wonder how much of the running the 3-man front is Hutzler's philosophy, what he likes to run, and how much of it is dictated by the personnel right now. Because maybe he doesn't have 4 linemen that he feels he can, run out there to then actually rotate. So it's kind of I run with what I have, and we'll keep a linebacker close. So, I mean, we'll know what they're doing, whether they keep him or not, based off of what they target in the portal. If they go and get a couple big guys to stick in the middle, we're going to know they're probably going to go to a 4-down front. But there's a lot of work to be done, even though they made solid strides this year on the defensive side. The ending they fell apart.
And despite the ending, because I do want to be fair, because I've said this from the start, I am not a big total defense guy. I'm more of a defensive efficiency guy because total defense, you're going to be on the field a lot more when you run a very up-tempo offense like they do. And so you're going to end up allowing more yards than a typical team because you're going to be on the field for 12 to 15 possessions, whereas another team might be on the field for 6 or 7. I mean, that's just how it is going to be. So their defensive efficiency is 51st. Their offensive efficiency is 53rd. Which is, not very good.
Not what you want.
It's not good that the offense ended up finishing behind the defense. Let me see if I can find last year. Okay, last year you were 110th in defensive efficiency, and you were 57th in offense. So you've gone up in both, but you took a major jump in defense. So I still don't want people to think that there was no progress defensively. Last 3 weeks, not good, obviously, but efficiency-wise, they did take a major jump still, despite those last several weeks. And so there is some positives to take out of the season, but yeah, these last 3 weeks were really bad in it. It started up front, as we mentioned, no TFLs, no sacks in this game. They ended up rushing for 186 yards and a touchdown. Lacey had 143 yards. And then Chambliss, I said it might be the best quarterback they face all year, threw for 359 yards and 4 touchdowns with a 93.3 QBR. So, I mean, he's very good.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next, we will give our top dog of the week, our player of the game. Don't go anywhere.
The holidays always feel a little easier when you already know the perfect gift, and Omaha Steaks make it almost too simple. Whether you're treating yourself this season or sending something memorable to family and friends, Omaha Steaks delivers handcrafted perfection right to their door. And this week is the best time to jump in because their cyber sale is here. The deals are huge, and the quality is exactly what you hope for. Those tender steaks, rich flavor, and meals that make hosting or weeknight cooking easier. And the variety is underrated. Steaks, burgers, comfort meals, sides, desserts. And it's one of those gifts that truly fits anyone. And it's the kind of gift that brings people together, and you don't even have to guess anyone's size. So save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and an extra 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. For an additional $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms apply. See site for details.
All right. Well, thanks you for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. All right, Landon, who is your top dog of the week?
I mean, it's got to be Kamario Taylor. He got his first start and for the most part looked good. Like he looked like he belonged out there. Passing numbers weren't great, 178 yards and that interception, but rushing 20 carries for 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, 8.7 yards per carry. That's including the sacks because that'll factor that.
Right.
I mean, he had a game, and the future looks bright with him as quarterback as long as he stays in Starkville.
Yeah, that's obviously the big one with Kamario Taylor, but I went Isaac Smith. We didn't really give him player of the week much, and it wasn't because he didn't have a good season.
Yeah.
It was just because we hold him up to such a high standard.
Yeah.
But a guy that has been injured really off and on a lot this year, and I don't know how healthy he was coming in this game. I know he was listed as questionable for much of the week, and then it was kind of like, he'll probably try to give it a go. Mississippi kid, like just is going to want to play. And I thought his energy and his just playmaking early in that game, like you could tell the defense was different, especially early on with him on the field. And then obviously, they ended up collapsing towards the end, but he finished with 13 tackles, led the team in tackles. Yeah. He was flying all over the field early on when they were having success, stopping the run. He was a big part of that. But I just want to give him some flowers because, again, I don't think he was really healthy enough to play in that game. It was just one of those things that he wanted to lay it on the line for his team, and I respect that a lot. And boy, did he, because, he was all over the field.
Yeah, he was, and he had a great game. He had a down season by his standards, mostly, I think, due to those injuries that kept him either missing games or playing at 70, 50%, whatever he was at. But yeah, you look at the tackles, and these safeties are really the backbone of this team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had 13 tackles, and Lanier and Manning were tied at 9. So, I mean, those guys were 3 of them were everywhere, and it's usually not a good thing when your safeties are your leading tacklers, because that means a lot of plays are getting to the secondary.
Yeah, for sure. And his numbers actually dropped by almost half this year. He had 127 tackles last year, had only 64 this year, only in one less game than last year. But a big part of that is because he did have Jaron Manning. He did have Brylan Lanier. Like, he had some of these guys that, last year didn't have these great seasons, but this year did. I mean, Manning led the team with 85 tackles. Nick Mitchell had 72. Lanier had 65. Lanier obviously was there last year, but he took a step up, and then Manning wasn't there last year. So I think part of it was just having more help this year than he did last year. But No, I mean he was fantastic. Kamario was fantastic. So if there's any silver lining, like take it with
There was a
Kamario
couple
and how well he played.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But all right, well, thanks for being Locked On Mississippi State. Your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy breaks down the best conference in college sports, from the rivalries to the championship and every game in between. Find Locked On SEC on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I'm Jaron. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Post daily videos Monday through Friday, so check those out. Obviously, no more football, so no more pre and post game videos for us. But we will still have some football content this week. But we got to start shifting to basketball mode.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon baseball and softball, and that's when it will get really fun. So hang in there, Bulldogs. it's gonna get better, I promise. But until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.